welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm so excited you guys are joining us today. I am DC, your host, and I'm thrilled you're here to meet an amazing author with incredible books and they're passionate to share with you. If you are new to the show, please go ahead and subscribe. You don't want to miss a single episode. We have amazing authors sharing passionate works every single time. Today we will have three amazing authors, so one at the top of each hour, and we're going to give you some incredible works from all different genres. So if you're not sure what to expect, just buckle up. It's going to be fabulous. So remember, you're watching Inside the Minds, and because you're really here to listen to our authors, let me bring Mr. Bjorn. Hello, darling. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I am wonderful, and congratulations on the new book. I'm so excited.
Thank you very much.
So I have questions, but we're going to get you first to do your reading, and then we're going to go because need to get ready. So, Mr. Bjorn, it is all yours.
All right. So this is from the fifth book in the series, Runa Whispers. I'll just start reading it, and it'll kind of explain itself a little bit, and then of course, we'll follow up with it. The attendant watches Wooldred with intensity as he carefully reads over his correspondence. Wooldred's eyebrows jump a few times, and his mouth curls into a slight smile off and on as he pursues the words. After he flips through each piece of parchment, he starts at the beginning once more and repeats the procedure. And, my lord, the attendant asks the second round after the second round is completed. Very interesting, Wooldred says with a smile as he leans back into his chair with a gentle rub of his chin beard. Very interesting indeed. Here is the itemization of my tax obligation for the coming spring, he begins. But the tax obligation is certainly not the item of interest. Rather, it is these. He finishes with a wave to the other pieces of parchment. Good news, I hope, the attendant smiles more. These are from a friend, hidden amongst the standard tax papers, a friend who is a royal accountant. Ah, Broderick, the attendant says with remembrance and a nod. Yes, Wooldred replies in some surprise that the attendant has remembered correctly. Yes, indeed, and he presents me with another opportunity. To do what, my lord? The attendant continues. Further our goals in the game, Wooldred smiles distantly. It is clear that he is planning something at this very moment. The attendant gives him a moment, then presses for more. If it is your wish for me to offer insight, my lord, I will need to know more. Wooldred snaps back to attention and looks to his old confidant. He feels that the attendant is too mentally crippled to actually offer help, but talking through it with him gives Wooldred a chance to mull things through the details one more time. It would seem a collection of Saxon farmers in the north and west near the Britain village have not been paying their taxes to the royal coffers for some reason. But the odds this has gone unnoticed by chance for this long is very unlikely. I have no doubt that the farmers themselves have likely been conferring their payments to someone, but the funds in questions are not making it to the treasury. Wooldred begins laying out. I see, the attendant says. Moland has Mayland has given me pause to believe he is more sinister to things than I originally believed. And as William's senior advisor, I believe that procedurally places him as custodian of the treasury as well. With another rub of his chin beard. So, a chance to neutralize another opponent, the attendant postulates, even though he is not likely to have followed all the details laid out by his lord. No, Wooldred lightly shakes his head. I cannot be viewed as going after Malon. It is too soon. Besides, I may have use of Malon yet in the future. But this does present an opportunity to accomplish something else. That is, the attendant asked. A whisper will be made to the king's ear about this. He will undoubtedly order soldiers to go deal with these farmers who are not paying their taxes to him. He will insist he will insist on some manner of battle to make examples of these tax dodgers. But his paranoia of treason amongst the southern high lords has his forces spread too thin to the south as eyes to watch them. He will ask myself and Lord Thaden to supply these soldiers. Thaden will not be able to comply, as he only retains the loyalty of a scant number of his men, with the remainder languishing in his dungeons with Robin. Secretly, he believes. I do not know what excuse he will offer, but he will not be able to comply. That leaves me. And what will you say? The attendant queries, as he is not sure where his lord is going with this. I will say I cannot offer my men for some reason I will manufacture, but I have an alternative for him. Wolger chuckles a bit. Alternative? Comes the inevitable from the attendant. The Norse under the Lady Jarl Mariel, Wolger concludes. This does indeed fall within the agreements made between Saxon and Norse, and he will have to send his own royal soldiers to lead the effort. And how does this help our goals, my lord? The attendant continues with his questioning. The Lady Jarl and her people will once more assist the crown, thereby gaining more favor with Willem against those scheming for the failure of her settlement. And if we are lucky, the incident will elicit enough doubt in the king's mind that he will look into the missing funds, and just maybe, Malon will be implicated without the possibility of my obvious involvement. And you see more, do you? Not? The attendant smiles wider. He may not be following all the words with accuracy, but he knows Wolger well enough that there's always multiple angles to his plans, and there should be to play this game. The only force of men Willem will has available to him presently is the royal company stationed at his fortress, and his idiot cousin Elfried to lead them. I believe I know the Lady Jarl well enough that at this point that eventually she will end up commanding the situation. Woldred smiles. So more deference to the Lord Mariel. The attendant tries, but he uses the wrong title. Yes, Woldred chuckles. As I've said before, the Lady Jarl endears herself to the wrong Saxons and irritates the useful Saxons. This is a wonderfully unexpected opportunity to adjust that behavior in a more positive direction, if she acts as I hope she does. Woldred is not sure how his confidant remembers how much he remembers of their past conversations about the game, suspecting very little, if any, but it does indeed sound a bit like his attendant is accusing him of being affected by blind admiration for Lady Jarl Mariel. How does he does legitimately feel this plan is sound and pushing the agenda along, but he admits to himself that he is most pleased that it works for Mariel's benefit and not toward an action that would have to see her replaced in the game by the as the attendant himself suggested some time ago before the latest attack of his brain ailment. The Lady Jarl is, the attendant begins but trails off as though he has forgotten what he was going to say. In reality, the attendant stopped his speech purposefully. He knows he has followed only a portion of what has been discussed, but he trusts his instincts on a detail of it which he disagrees with Woldred on. And for the good of the game, he has decided to work alone on this. Woldred looks at him and pointed with poignant loss of his skilled collaborator. Yes, my friend, the Lady Jarl amongst the Norse.
Ooh, I am ready. Thank you, darling, for that fabulous reading. I'm always excited about this. I had the privilege of meeting you when you first started writing the series. You were launching the first 3 books. It was super exciting. You were obviously much nervous than you are today. You're like all pro at this. You're like, done this enough times. This is amazing. So let's jump into our conversations. Let's start from the beginning, because what is this series about? And then bring us up to speed where we are with Runks and Whispers. Tell us.
Okay. The in general, it's a story. The usual story of light versus dark, evil versus good. But the series focuses on a very climactic series of battles between the light and the dark. But it features unusual Viking female warrior named Mariel. She's not your typical standard Viking, as most people believe, see it nowadays. She's half Northern African and half Norse. So she's got a very unique appearance. She's got uh, tan skin, black hair, and very piercing green eyes. So it's an unusual look. But what's more is she has a power within her. It's light and dark at the same time, and neither, as it's described in the book. So there's reasons for that you find out in later installments. But she has to learn to control these powers. They could be very destructive or very beneficial, but she has to utilize these to fight against the evil that threatens to overwhelm the living world. And that is the main focus of books 1 through 3. 4 is about her good friend and most loyal ally, Ingrid Stonesplitter, who has her own story to tell, and that's the focus of book 4. Now, the reason I say all that, the template was very much the same in those first 4 books. It was a lot of action and a lot of fast paced, uh, and it fast paced action, and it was over hundreds of years. Now, with book 5, my procedure changed a little bit. Now we're going to go back and start filling in a lot of blanks. Some of the backstory was summarized in the first 4 books to keep the story moving, to keep it flowing, to keep Mariel's main story progressing. But this story is very, very layered, very deep, and very intricate, and there's a lot of things that went into the story that we don't even know about yet, just to make books 1 through 4 possible. And that's where book 5 begins. This one is a lot of political intrigue and a lot of mental gamesmanship, and it fills in a blank in book 1 when Mariel is still in the living world and she's in a settlement in England. Well, we call it England now. It was the Saxon lands back then, and she went there to escape all the violent politics of Scandinavia, thinking she was going to find a nice normal life, but she ends up finding the more deceitful and lies version of politics. And so, every culture has their politics, but they're all different. And now she finds herself in a place where she's very much out of her wheelhouse. This isn't what she's used to. The Norse were very forthright. They were violent people, but they were very forthright. You didn't have to. There wasn't a lot of political posturing involved. It was just violence for the most
She
part.
knew she knew what to expect.
Right. So now she's in a place where it's very much outside of her strategies of dealing with things. And Lord Woldred is a Saxon lord I was just reading some of his shenanigans, but he's playing on her part. He's actually fighting against the other Saxon lords in their own way, and it's on her behalf, but it's for his personal reasons as well. It's very, there's a lot of layers and a lot of sides to this whole thing that they call it the game. And Mariel, unfortunately, doesn't even know about most of it. She's just a pawn, and considering what a strong and brilliant character she really is, it kind of shows it's a weakness on her part. She doesn't understand it because it's not what she's used to. So, but it's designed to show how her settlement failed. In the first book, you see, okay, she goes there, she becomes leader of this settlement, and there's a lot of politics involved, and at the end the settlement's destroyed and she's killed, and it doesn't go into a lot of detail, just kind of summarizes it. So this book goes back and describes in detail what actually did happen, and it plays a lot into what she has to face in the future as well.
One of the things that I think is so interesting about this entire series is that it didn't start that way. Like, you were never set up to be like, I'm going to go tell this Viking story. It was never the
Right.
case. So bring us back to how this whole entire adventure started. Now you're like, wait, I'm doing what? And how many books we got? So
Yeah.
bring us in, because our listeners and viewers are going, what do you mean, DC? I was like, come on, Bjorn, confess. How did this all started?
The funny part is I always, well, I'll say this: the whole thing is a confluence of a lot of my interests. I love history. I've always loved history, all areas of history, all cultures of history, all over the world. I just like reading about things from the past. Then I like the supernatural, so you throw that in, and then you throw in specifically Norse history, because a lot of my ancestry, of course, is from Scandinavia. So I mixed all that together and came up with this very interesting Viking female warrior, because some things happened about 12, 15 years ago where they started discovering that in Viking in the Norse culture that women did play a huge part in everything. I mean, they were landowners, they had rights, and they specifically they were leaders of warriors. You know, they were warrior leaders themselves.
It's pretty awesome.
And when they discovered this in a grave in England, actually, it was about 12. They discovered the grave in the 60s, but about 12 years ago, they really started examining the bones and realized this isn't a male chieftain. This is a female chieftain. You know, when they first discovered it, they didn't really examine it that close because they made assumptions. You know, this must be a male Viking that was in England. But come to find out, it was a female. And so that's kind of what sparked my beginning to create Mariel, the character Mariel, the doctor's daughter. So I just was going to write a short story about it just to get it out of my head. You know, like, oh, she's got to have a hell of a story. I got to write this down. So I started making up my own story based on this female warrior they found, and then it turned into. I said, you know, once I started writing it, I said, okay, now I'm gonna make her real quirky because I want her to be a very memorable character. So she has all these little personality quirks about her. She likes to irritate her friends, in good naturedly. But she is also a brilliant strategist as well. She doesn't like odd numbers. She likes round food. Just weird little things about her that make her different. And it just grew and grew and grew, and it turned into 2 books, 3 books, and then of course, as I'm writing her story, I'm writing background characters, and I love taking a background character that seems to be minor and start building them. So it turned into Ingrid Stonesplitter, which was book 4. Then we've got Wooldred and several others in this book, in this installment, book 5, and now I've got several more coming. So it just exploded into this series, and there's spin-offs in the future around some of the future characters that are going to come out in future installments. So it just took a life of its own and went crazy.
So you started talking about it. What are you working on next? What is the next book in this series that people can expect to be like, oh, that is coming?
Oh, the next books are going to be very interesting, and they're also different. See, that's kind of what makes it hard to say what genre this is, because I didn't intend it to be it. I didn't intend it to be this expansive. I'll just be honest, but it does dip into It dips into several different time frames. It dips into several different genres. Uh, the next 2 books are books 6 and 7 is Runes of Spirits and Runes of Building. These will feature a new character named Josephine. Josephine was in book 1 very briefly, just long enough to be killed and brought back to life, basically. But what we find out is when Mariel returns before World War II to complete her destiny, she has this entire support network, this entire secret organization is already there waiting for her to help her finish this battle. And it explains it to some degree how this network was built. It was built by Josephine, but we don't know how she built it or what her character was necessarily. And that's what book 6 and 7 explores. And she is a very, very dark character. She's a good guy, but she's a very, very dark good guy. It's hard to explain. You have to read it, but she's a
We call
product of
them
her.
we call them
She's a
morally
product of her
gray.
environment. Oh,
You
very
can
much so. Yes.
They're morally gray. That's the new things that we're gonna call her. She's morally
Well,
gray.
in a way, and I didn't design it this way, but in a way, the one of the messages, I suppose, of the series, if you want to say there's a message embedded, is good people can do bad, bad people can do good, and there's much more gray than there is black and white in the world. I mean, everything is, it's yeah, and
So
she is the extreme of a morally questionable good guy.
that's a good way to putting it. I like it. So I need to know. You've been writing. You have the writing bug. You're still loving it. Do you still have the same passion when you did book 1 to now you're looking at book 5? Or how has that changed in you?
It's actually become a little more stressful because I create more and more characters, and I feel like I have to make this one unique. I have to make this one unique to make it keep it interesting, but I'm still loving it. I mean, I say it's stressful, but not in a bad way. I want to keep going. I want to keep going with it because my whole point was to make this as much. It's a fantasy story. It's got fantastic elements in it, but I wanted it to resemble reality. I wanted it to be relatable and not so far out left field that it feels like you're in a different universe. It's still our universe. It's still people just like us, but look at all these things that are happening, and a lot of that has to do with you got to make interesting characters. You've never met 40 clones of the same person, right? So all
Oh,
these people have to be different, and it's fun. It's great fun to do, and I plan to keep going until I just run out of ideas.
so I love the fact that you're mashing genres. So you're looking almost at alternative history because you have some very valid historical points. You got some
Hmm.
fantasy meets a combination of alternative history meets urban fantasy all mashed into it once you come because you're coming to modern times. So you and also time traveling because you have gone
Yes.
from one series. So it's a really fun mashup of all these different things. A couple of my favorite authors do it really well, but it's really hard to keep all of these pieces together. How do you do it? Like what system are you using to not mess up your timeline and still be able to pick and choose from all these different elements?
Uh, as funny as it's going to sound, I have several spreadsheets with the date, the years on the side, and I have important events, birth dates, and death dates of characters to make sure it all lines up. So I have to
Yes.
use a little bit of technology to keep it all straight, but it's a lot. It is really a lot.
Not funny at all. I completely understand. I know people that have done spreadsheets. I know people that have like different like access files, note files. So every author's a little different. So I love it. So tell me, Bjorn, what advice would you give an up and coming author who's like, you know what, I'm going to tackle this thing that I don't know what it is? Like, what would you tell them?
Just do it. I mean, I know when I came from a technical writing background. That's most of my writing was technical journals and things, and for companies I worked for, it was work instructions, procedures, things like that. I've always piddled around in fiction. I've always piddled around in fiction, but I never took it, never really tried it. And then when I started building this character of Mariel, the doctor's daughter, and this insane story that she's involved in, it took me a little while to even try to even try to put it out there for the court of public opinion. I did hire an editor and said I want, I just need some direction. And through her, I started getting a little more confidence about the story, and I decided I'm just going to do it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It won't work, and then I just move on to something else. So I went for it, and it's been great. I don't regret doing it one bit, and that's kind of what I would like to say. If you feel good about the story, just do it. Just go for it and see what happens. That's really all you can do.
That's an awesome advice. And I think sometimes we hold ourselves back for fear. Like, what are people
Hmm.
going to say? So you took a really great approach. You hired an editor to get yourself like, okay, what does this sound like? I love the fact that you said, I build my confidence that way. And then I decided to go forth.
Right,
So
and
I
that
love,
and I think in some ways, I think a lot of authors look at editors kind of in reverse. They kind of look at them as someone that's just pointing out what they're doing wrong. And I got lucky with mine. We got along great from the very beginning, and she did point out the things I did wrong, but that's what she's supposed to do. But she did encourage me to stay with it too at the same time, and that's really what you're looking for, right?
a good editor should help you polish your works and get you to the next step.
Hmm.
So, and sometimes we don't want to hear like the baby's ugly. Like, nobody wants to hear that. But
Right.
we kind of need it. That's kind of the thing. So
No,
tell me, darling.
that's what I need.
Tell me, darling, where can our viewers or listeners find you? Where they can learn more about your books? Where are you located online? I know you have websites, socials. Tell us all. What do you have available?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Bjorn Leesson on Facebook there. But the best place to go probably is my website. It's thalspar.com, THALSPARR.com. And that'll take you to little more just interesting things about the series that aren't in the books necessarily. It's going to grow. I'm going to put more on there, a lot more on there. There's some video trailers for future books that I've been trying to work on, and it brings you to Amazon where the books are available for purchase, and contact information, things like that. But that's the best place to go.
Awesome. Okay, so one more time. What is your website again? Say it again and slowly.
Okay, it's thalspar.com, THALSPARR.com.
Awesome. I love it. Dear, I have a blast talking to you. I'm always excited about the journey, about the books. But before you leave us, you ready for the lightning round?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. Water or soda?
I'm gonna have to say water, even
Okay.
though soda's awesome. Water.
Look at you being healthy. Breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast. Breakfast for dinner. Breakfast. Definitely.
Me too. I agree. Wizard or pirate?
Pirate. Have to go with a pirate.
Okay. Hotel or camping?
Oh, camping, without question.
Okay. Here's a little different. If you had any superpower, what would it be?
I love this one. I've been asked this before. Perfect memory. If I had a perfect photographic memory, that's my superpower. I could do anything I want with that.
At this point in my life, I just want memory. It doesn't even have to be perfect. I'm even picky.
I feel you.
Just give me any memory. I'll take it. It doesn't have to be perfect. So, dear, it is such a pleasure. Congratulations on the book again. Any closing remarks for us?
I just stick with it and find cool stuff to read.
So awesome, dear. Thank you to our viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for joining us in another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. I am your host. Always a pleasure to have you on this show. Please make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a single episode. We're both live on YouTube as well as your favorite podcasting station. And for anybody who's looking for more action-packed, make sure to pick up my book, Desk Intern. The link is on the comments and is free everywhere. And I will be back if you're watching us live in about another 30 minutes, top of the hour, with another amazing authors. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you guys again soon.